Morning.
Good morning.
We got paired up together, and I don't know why they chose us, but I can only think that it's because one of us is going to do really well, and then there's me. So
they know what they were doing.
They knew what they were doing, I think. Go ahead, you start.
As I was thinking about what I was going to share today, I just felt led that I needed to share some life verses that I hope that each and every one of you have life verses, kind of like your go-to verse that really just God brings to mind all the time. And mine are from Romans 12:1 and 2, which says, "Therefore I urge you, brethren, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies a living and holy sacrifice, acceptable to God, which is your spiritual service of worship. And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may prove what the will of God is, that which is good and acceptable and perfect." When I think about this verse in relation to, possibly in relation to Christmas at this point, I think sometimes we have a tradition, some people don't. I did not growing up, of thinking that, hey, this is Jesus' birthday. Christmas is Jesus' birthday. And so some people have a tradition of making a birthday cake and singing happy birthday to Jesus. And so in essence, when it's someone's birthday, you're supposed to bring gifts. But most of the time at Christmas, we think we're getting the gifts. And so this verse, to me, it's my gift. It's my gift. What can I give Jesus? And it says to present your body as a living sacrifice. So every morning I spend time with God. In essence, I present my body, myself to Him and offer it up. I come to the altar, which just happens to look a lot like the desk in my office. But however, that altar is portable. I carry it with me because I find that this living sacrifice likes to crawl off the altar quite a bit. So it goes with me. I have to keep that present in my mind throughout the day. These are life verses for me, and God gave those, pointed them out to me some 30 years ago in college. So they've journeyed with me for quite a while. They're reminders, they're encouragers of how I'm to live my life and what God promises to do in my life. He says, "Present yourself to me, Amy, as a sacrifice lifted up in a sweet and pleasing aroma. And don't give in to the ways of the world. Let me transform you." And then the sacrifice starts to squirm. What does that mean, transform me? And so I spend time in His Word, and I listen, and I write, and I pray, and I wait. Being transformed, He says, be transformed by the renewal of your mind. For me, that has come to mean asking Him, what do you have for me today, Lord? And asking that question, I'm laying myself on the altar. He will be the fire that consumes this sacrifice of myself, what the world wants to make into me. He's going to burn it up. And He wants to replace that with His best, with renewing my mind to be more like His. And then when he gets to that part in verse 2 where it says, so that you may prove what the will of God is, that which is good and acceptable and perfect. I had to know what that really meant. The word prove, I had to look it up. I like to dig a little deeper. And in the Greek, that verb prove was used for when you're like proving or testing coins, confirming that they're genuine. Back in the 1800s, they used to bite the coin, make sure it was real, right? It would leave your teeth marks in there if it was real gold. And then the word will, His will, His desire, His wish, often referring to God's preferred will or His best offer to people, which can be accepted or rejected. And I liked that, His best offer to people. But why would anyone reject that? If God had His best offer for you, why would you reject it? Something that is good and acceptable and perfect. Yesterday I went walking with a friend of mine in Monrovia, and we were almost back to her house when we saw 3 girls on the sidewalk in front of Monrovia High School. And from a distance, one of them sneezed, and I was like, "Bless you." And we came up on them, and it happened. "Are you a teacher at Mountain View High School? Maybe. I had sunglasses on, I had a visor on, my hair's up in a ponytail, I'm in my workout clothes. Well, you can call them that. I don't know if they were working, I don't work out very much. But I was thinking incognito, right? But nope. Are you? Yes. I'm like, how do you know me? I mean, were you my student? Well, no, I didn't have you as a teacher, but I had the teacher across the hall from you, and I would see you in your room all the time. I just knew you were a teacher there. And I said, well, yeah. I said, well, what are you guys doing out here on the sidewalk? And she goes, oh, well, we're waiting for a moving van to come to empty the apartment across the street, and because my cousin was killed just this last week. And I said, what? I had not watched the news. I was not up on things. And you may have heard about it. It was reported on Wednesday. Young girl and her mother murdered in their apartment right across from the high school. And so here, these were cousins, 3 cousins, standing there waiting for the moving truck. And then it was tasked to them to then go in and clean up. I can't imagine. And so I just said, you know what, can I pray for you girls? Yes, all 3 of them. Yes, please. And so I prayed for God's peace, for God's comfort, for whatever God knew what they needed. And that's what I could give. I just felt like it was a God-ordained moment in that time. And these girls needed some hope. I gave each one of them a hug before I left. And then my friend and I continue walking around the corner to her house, and I just think, okay, and life goes on for me. What was that, Lord? So, we only have so much time here on this earth, and we don't know when something might change in the blink of an eye. So the challenge to me, the thought to me is, what am I doing with the time that I have here? And my verses come back. I need to present my body as a sacrifice. I need to have him transform me. We're celebrating this time of Advent, the coming of Jesus, the Christ child, the King. But we should be celebrating Advent every day, because there's going to be a second coming. And are you ready? So Advent needs to be every day. Present your bodies as a living sacrifice. Spend time with him every day. Be mindful of him throughout your day. Expect him to show up. He did for me yesterday. Ask him what he would have for you to do that day. He wanted me to pray with those girls. Be transformed. Let him renew your mind as you spend time in his word, just hanging out with him, just being silent. Let him speak to you. And he will change you into the image of his son. And you can authenticate the will of God, what God's best offer is for you, which is ultimately himself. So say yes. Say yes to God's best offer, and say yes to Jesus this season. Amen.
That was great. Thank you. Now I get to follow that. That was good. Okay, so Amy and I were talking about how to transition between her and me, and we weren't really sure what to do. So she told me that based on what she knew she was going to be saying, she said, you need to open with a joke. And so I didn't know a good joke, and so Amy said that she would write me one. And so I'm going to do it right now, and she even gave me directions on how to do it. She said, say a line, and then point at the audience, and the audience is going to then say what. So I'm going to do this, you're going to say what, and then I'm going to say a hilarious line, okay, that you're going to laugh at. And so I'm going to perform a joke written and directed by Amy Minnick right now. So here it goes. Remember your part, okay? What did Adam say to Eve on Christmas? What? It's Christmas, Eve. That's Amy Minnick right there. That was Amy Minnick. That was all her. Most of us might love the holiday season. Who wouldn't love it, right? But what if you don't love the holidays? What if the holidays are the worst time of year for you? What if you actually dread them? I know that we have people here right now who fall into either the love or hate the holidays categories. In my life, I've had experience with both love and dread for the holidays. For most of my life, I loved them. Family, celebration, the hope received in Jesus' birth, peace on earth. But then I went through a time in which I dreaded the approaching holidays. I dreaded them because I had lost family, making celebration difficult, making hope dim and peace nearly non-existent. What if your own hope and peace are dim in this holiday season or even throughout your entire calendar year? When I was going through this time of challenge, except for my relationship with God, I felt so alone. As a Christian, I knew I wasn't alone, that God was with me all the way, but on a day-to-day, minute-by-minute basis, I felt very physically alone. But there are some truths that really helped me at that time and may help you as well. I believe that these truths can make all the difference in the world, and here are a couple of them. If you don't look forward to the holidays, this verse from James 1:12 can provide a lot of peace and hope during time of struggle. And this is it right here. Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him. I found my peace through the perseverance God had called me to in this passage, which then led me to my hope, the crown of life that I would someday be given. I didn't know what a crown of life was exactly, but I did know that no matter how awful I felt or how bad things got, I had a future of peace and hope to look forward to with God. My faith told me that no matter how much of a struggle life would be at any given moment, that someday it would be better through God. I encourage you to believe the truth, that no matter how deep the valley is that you reside in today, no matter if it is limited to this holiday season or it stretches well beyond, that you have been promised to receive a wonderful gift in your future. And if you are one of those people who love the holidays and has some type of emotional, spiritual, and or tangible resource to give, here is something that people of such ability and generosity gave to me when I was struggling. From Matthew 25:35, for I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. Unexpected people reached out to me to offer what can only be called love. I spent more than one Christmas with people who were not family. I was given places in which to eat, drink, fellowship, and celebrate. I had people to give me a hug or to hold me when I needed it most. I was given people to laugh with in the midst of intense pain. If you have the ability and generosity to offer it, I urge you to go out of your way to bring people into your circle during both this holiday season and throughout the rest of the year. To know that there is someone in your life who feels that you are worth intentionally including in their life can make all the difference in the world to someone who is struggling. Again, I challenge you to do this not just in this holiday season, but to incorporate it into a normal course of business throughout the rest of your year. If you do this, you may be making a world of difference to people who greatly need that difference. And because you so loved Amy's first joke, she wrote a closing joke for us, and I'm going to share it with you. And it's a cutting-edge little thing she calls a knock-knock joke. She's always innovating. So just participate here as you know how to do it. So here we go. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Anna.
And who?
And a partridge in a pear tree.